There's an old saying in football, bad teams find ways to lose. And right now, the Cleveland Browns aren't just living that truth. They're perfecting it. A 23-6 loss to the Ravens. A game the Browns led for most of the first half. A game where the defense showed up and completely bullied one of the best offenses in the league. 4 sacks from Myles Garrett. Rookie standouts like Carson Schlesinger and Mike Hall wreaking havoc. And still, they lost. Why? Because this franchise somehow keeps stepping on the same landmines every single season. The offense looks broken. The quarterback situation is a disaster. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has no urgency, no adjustments, and no clue how to manage the players he's been handed. And now, the Browns are 2-8 and headed nowhere fast. Again. The real story? It's not about one bad game. It's about everything unraveling at once. From horrible game planning, to zero QB prep, to wasting some of the best defensive football Cleveland has seen in years. This isn't about a rebuild. It's about organizational rot. And if no one takes control soon, Cleveland's most loyal players and fans are going to check out for good. So how did we get here? How did a team with this much defensive firepower collapse this badly? Let's break it down. Because this loss wasn't just another bad Sunday. It was the blueprint for a franchise falling apart from the inside out. Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be the future. That's what we were told. A rookie with poise, a clean delivery, and just enough experience to manage the game, while Cleveland leaned on its elite defense. But what unfolded on Sunday? It felt like deja vu. Yet another quarterback thrown into chaos, unprepared and unsupported. Gabriel started the game. First half numbers, 7 of 10 for 68 yards. Not awful, not impressive, just there. But then came a halftime concussion evaluation, and just like that, he was gone. No clear explanation, no signs of injury. Just a confusing he's out and another layer of Browns mystery. Enter Shedeur Sanders, the backup, the afterthought. A 5th-round pick who'd barely touched the field with starters all season long. But when his name was called, the crowd in Cleveland erupted. Those first 2 completions? Electric. For a moment, fans felt something they hadn't in weeks. Hope. And then, reality hit like a Ravens blitz. 7 straight incompletions. Pressure collapsing the pocket. Zero timing with receivers. The Baltimore defense smelled blood and blitzed like they had the playbook. And Sanders looked overmatched. By the end, 4 of 16, 47 yards, 1 interception. A stat line ripped straight from a horror film. But here's what really matters. This wasn't just a rookie meltdown. This was a coaching failure. After the game, Stefanski admitted it. Sanders hadn't gotten first-team reps. Not one. Think about that. You know your quarterback room is made up of 2 rookies. You know you're 1 hit away from throwing in the backup. And you give him nothing? No chemistry, no practice, no game speed preparation. Just tossed into a divisional fight against the top 3 defense in the NFL like a lamb to the slaughter? That's not just mismanagement. That's malpractice. And it didn't just burn Sanders. It burned this team, this defense, and what little faith was left in the front office. Let's be crystal clear. Shedeur Sanders wasn't set up to succeed. He was set up to fail. And that failure lands squarely at the feet of Kevin Stefanski. After the game, when reporters asked Stefanski if Sanders had been getting first-team reps in practice, he didn't even hesitate. The answer was no. Gabriel had been getting every snap with the starters. Every single one. That's not discipline. That's disaster waiting to happen. In the NFL, you plan for the unexpected, especially when your starting QB is a rookie, especially when injuries are piling up, and especially when you're facing one of the most ruthless defenses in football. But instead of preparing Sanders to step in, Stefanski rolled the dice and assumed he wouldn't need him. And when that assumption was shattered, so was the game plan, and whatever trust remained between this coaching staff and the players. Imagine being a rookie quarterback coming in cold. No chemistry, no timing, no mental reps, and lining up behind an injury-riddled offensive line while the Ravens throw exotic blitzes at your face. Sanders wasn't playing quarterback. He was surviving chaos. What makes it worse is Stefanski's attitude about it all. When confronted, there was no regret, no self-reflection, only vague coach speak like, "You try to get your starter ready." Those reps are valuable. Yes, they are. But when you have two rookie quarterbacks, those reps are a shared asset, not a luxury handed to just one guy. And if you're only preparing one quarterback to play in the NFL, you're not planning, you're hoping. And hope isn't a strategy. This wasn't just another poor decision in a long list of questionable calls. This was organizational negligence, and every player in that locker room felt it. Because when your coach fails to prepare the guys behind your future, everyone sees it. Everyone knows, and eventually, they stop believing the next man up even has a plan at all. Let's say it plainly. This defense is playing well enough to win playoff games, and yet they're stuck watching losses stack up because the other half of the team can't get out of its own way. Against Baltimore, the defense didn't just compete, they dominated. Myles Garrett had 4 sacks. 4. Against Lamar Jackson, not some statue in the pocket. Against one of the most elusive quarterbacks in NFL history. That's not just rare, that's generational. And he's not alone. Carson Schlesinger is playing out of his mind. Mason Graham had his most disruptive performance of the season. Mike Hall was everywhere. Together, they bottled up a Ravens offense that's been steamrolling teams for a month. They forced red zone field goals, broke up screens, collapsed the pocket, and ground the run game to a halt. They did everything you could ask for, and more. Yet none of it mattered. Because once again, they were sent back onto the field after another failed drive. Another 3-and-out. Another sack. Another missed throw. Another wasted possession from an offense that looks like it's using a preseason playbook. How long can this defense keep doing this without burning out? At some point, it's not just about stats. It's about morale. It's about the psychological toll of emptying the tank and watching the offense punt it right back. You can coach effort. You can't coach belief. And when belief in the system disappears, effort follows fast. Every time the defense walks off the field with a stop and sees their offense jog back out like zombies, it chips away at the soul of this team. This isn't just a bad offense, it's a betrayal of excellence. And unless something changes quickly, the Browns won't just lose more games. They'll lose the very players keeping this team relevant. Myles Garrett deserves more. This defense deserves more. And if the Browns can't figure it out, they don't deserve this defense. What's more frustrating than losing? Watching your head coach go to the podium and act like nothing's wrong. After an embarrassing loss to the Ravens, Kevin Stefanski was given multiple chances to provide real answers. Instead, he gave the same empty, robotic sound bites we've heard too many times this year. When asked about Dylan Gabriel's concussion, he got checked at halftime. "I don't know all the details." You're the head coach of an NFL football team. Your quarterback gets pulled for a head injury in a divisional game, and your answer is, "I don't know"? Not only is that unacceptable, it's terrifying. If you don't have full awareness of what's happening to your starting quarterback, what else don't you have control over? It gets worse. When asked about Shedeur Sanders' performance, all Stefanski could offer was, "He battled. We'll look at it tomorrow." Lot of things to clean up. Clean up what, exactly? The fact that you threw a rookie QB onto the field without giving him a single first-team snap during the week? Or maybe he's talking about the offense that's become so stale and predictable that even opposing fans know what's coming next. And when pressed about why Sanders wasn't getting first-team reps, Stefanski gave a masterclass in deflection. You prepare your starter, especially when he's a rookie. Those reps are valuable. Yes, coach, we know reps are valuable. But you have two rookie quarterbacks. Refusing to develop both is a gamble this team couldn't afford. And now the payoff is a 2-8 record and a locker room that's losing faith by the week. Stefanski won Coach of the Year in 2020, and ever since, he's been coasting on that reputation while this team regresses. The game plans haven't evolved. The offense is stuck in quicksand. The leadership is missing. And somehow, no matter how bad it gets, Stefanski still walks out like all is normal. It's not normal. Not even close. This isn't just a leadership gap. It's a leadership vacuum. And it's taking the whole team down with it. For most of the game, Shedeur Sanders looked like exactly what he was. A rookie backup, thrown into the fire, outmatched and unprepared. But then something changed. Down by a touchdown, under the 2-minute warning, inside Baltimore territory. The pressure wasn't off. It was cranked all the way up. And that's when Sanders flipped the script. Suddenly, the rookie who had missed 7 straight passes earlier in the game looked composed, confident, in control. He stood tall in the pocket, read the defense, and delivered a few strikes downfield. When Baltimore brought pressure, he didn't panic. He stepped up. When nothing was there, he scrambled for yards instead of taking sacks. He moved with urgency, not chaos. That final drive wasn't perfect, but it looked real. He carried himself the way a quarterback's supposed to when the game is on the line. And for a team starved for competent QB play, that moment, those final 2 minutes, showed more than the box score ever will. Here's the kicker. He did it without a real game plan built for him. Without first-team practice reps. Without rhythm, timing, or support. And he still stood in there and gave the Ravens a scare. Does that mean he's ready to take over? That he's the future? Not necessarily. But here's what it does mean. He's worth investing in. Now, give him the starter reps. Build the system around his mobility, timing, and arm talent. Let him grow into the role with the benefit of a full week of game prep, something he's never received. You've seen what Gabriel can do. Why not see what Sanders can become? If nothing else, he's earned the opportunity to show the league and this locker room that what we saw in those last 2 minutes wasn't just a fluke. It might be the first sign of something real. Let's stop pretending. The 2024 Browns aren't making a playoff push. They're not one adjustment away. They're done. Not just statistically, but spiritually. A 2-8 record doesn't scream contender. It screams start planning for the offseason. And that's okay if they use what's left of this season correctly. There are 7 games left, 7 chances to stop the bleeding, reset the system, and most importantly, find out if Shedeur Sanders has something worth building around. Because here's the decision in front of them. You can either double down on what's already failed, or you can take a real look at what's next. You've seen what Dillon Gabriel brings to the table. Steady, but limited. Nothing game-breaking. Nothing inspiring. At best, he's a game manager. At worst, he's part of the reason your offense is stuck at the bottom of every power ranking. Sanders, on the other hand, is raw, inexperienced, and maybe not the guy at all. But he has traits you can't teach. Composure under pressure, mobility when protection breaks down, and fearless body language in crunch time. That's why every snap from here on out should belong to him. Give him the start. Give him the full install. Give him Monday through Saturday as QB1. Build the game plan around plays that let him roll out, throw deep, and use his legs when everything else collapses, which it likely will behind that injured offensive line. Worst case, he flames out in front of everyone, and you go into the draft with clarity. Best case, you find out he's something more than a placeholder. But sticking with status quo, pretending this season still has stakes, that's a lie. and every honest Browns fan knows it. This season is a loss, but it doesn't have to be wasted. The question now isn't how do we win, it's what do we learn before it's too late? Here's the gut punch. Cleveland might finish the year with the league's most dominant defender and a rookie phenom, and still end up with 3 or 4 wins. That's not unlucky, that's unforgivable. Myles Garrett is having the kind of season that gets etched into award ballots. 4 sacks against Lamar Jackson isn't normal, it's historic. Analysts already list him among the favorites for DPOY, and you don't need advanced stats to see why. He's destroying game plans on sight. And he's not alone. Carson Schlesinger keeps flashing veteran instincts as a first-year player, the kind that puts you firmly in the DROTY conversation. Mason Graham just had his best outing. Mike Hall keeps showing up in critical downs. Together, they forced red zone stalls, squeezed run lanes, and turned a rolling Baltimore offense into a grind. On any functional team, that's the formula for wins. In Cleveland, it's empty calories, because every time the defense cashes in a stop, the offense pays it back with a 3-and-out. Field position flips, fatigue piles up, momentum dies. You don't just waste elite play, you erode it. And when that becomes a pattern, belief goes with it. This is the kind of defensive core that lets average offenses dream big. But the Browns' offense isn't average, it's a drain. And the longer the organization calls it a process, the more this window closes. Fast. There's another risk here too. Not a report, just reality. When elite defenders spend season after season propping up a unit that won't meet them halfway, loyalty gets tested. That's not rumor, that's human. It doesn't have to stay this way. Lean into who you are. Play to the defense, shorten games, possess the ball, call for high-percentage throws, designed movement, and field position wins. Give this unit breathers, not burdens, because if you're not complimenting them, you're undercutting them. A defense like this doesn't come around often, and when it does, you either build on it or you become the cautionary tale everyone cites in 5 years. The Browns are running out of time to choose which one they'll be. Strip away the noise, and what's left is simple. The Browns are 2-8 because the details that win games were ignored. 2 rookie quarterbacks. 1 took all the reps. The other was tossed into a division fight cold. An elite defense emptied the tank. The offense gave nothing back. Leadership hid behind cliches. That's not bad luck. That's how you build losses. You saw flashes from Shedeur in the final 2 minutes. Composure, pocket movement, decisions under duress. It wasn't a miracle, it was a glimpse. And that's enough to justify a hard reset on offense for the rest of the year. Give him the week, give him the plan, give him the reps. Build in quick game, movement throws, defined reads, and selective deep shots. Lean into the run. Protect a battered line with tempo and formations, and play to your defense by owning field position. If Dylan Gabriel clears protocol, fine. Split early week reps so you're never unprepared again. But the idea of drifting through 7 more games on autopilot, that's how locker rooms check out. That's how windows close. That's how you waste primes and lose faith you won't get back. This defense is good enough to carry a flawed team. It cannot carry a directionless one. The players know it. The fans feel it. The league can see it from a mile away. Accountability isn't a press conference. It's a pivot. It's changing what you do on Monday so Sunday looks different. Start Sanders. Tailor the system to him. Coach aggressively on 4th and manageable. Own the clock. Give this defense breathers. And be honest, publicly and privately, about what went wrong and what won't be repeated. Because the same old Browns isn't a curse, it's a choice. It's what happens when preparation, development, and courage get replaced by habit and hope. There's still time to flip the narrative from collapse to course correction. But not much. Pick a direction now, or watch this season become the prologue to another wasted year.